Hello, my name is Ben Lovegrove, and welcome to this April 2023 supplement to the Beginner's Guide to Ufology course. A lot has happened since I launched this course on Udemy in 2021, and there has been a noticeable increase in the number of revelations, books, films, podcasts, news items, and other forms of broadcasts and information sharing. In this video, I'm going to share a few thoughts about the latest developments and list some of the recommended podcasts, films and books that I think are an ideal supplement to this course for your continuing research and interest. More people are ready to talk, and more people are ready to talk openly about UFOs and UAP. New laws have been passed in the USA to protect whistleblowers who want to step forward and give their testimonies. Last December, the US 2023 National Defense Authorization Act was signed into law, providing legal protection for whistleblowers who may want to come forward to give their accounts of UAP experiences. Things are definitely changing rapidly. So much is going on that it's hard to keep up with all the developments, unless you're already studying this subject full-time. Even then, you are spoilt for choice when it comes to watching, listening, or reading about new UFO and UAP sightings and close encounters. In the past 2 years, we've had new photos, videos, documentaries, and news programs. There has been a distinct and noticeable change in the attitude of mainstream media organizations that have finally been forced to recognize that unidentified flying objects do exist, and that no one seems to know what they are, where they come from, what they're doing here, how they operate, and who or what creates and operates them. In the week I made this video, the UK's Daily Mail published an exclusive with the headline, "6 whistleblowers who claim they worked on military UFO programs retrieving and analysing crash material have come forward to spill their secrets to senior members of Congress." Aside from going into great detail about the content of the whistleblower testimonies, the article even included a copy of all the Admiral Wilson notes. In the past 2 years, we've seen a sharp increase in the discussions on social media, with the use of hashtags like UAP Twitter and UFO Twitter. We've had the first congressional hearings in over 50 years, and more recently a hearing chaired by Senator Kristen Gillibrand, in which she interviewed the head of AARO, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. As before, there was a lot of anticipation before this, and the event itself didn't shake the world. But that's the way governments work when it comes to secrecy. The rumour is that more public and private hearings are to follow in the coming months. The ridicule is diminishing and the wall of denial is crumbling. This, in a sense, is disclosure. It's not a sudden announcement by a president at a lectern in front of the world's press. Instead, disclosure is a process in which so many witnesses and experiences come forward to talk and share that the awareness reaches a stage of critical mass and it breaks through into public consciousness. Like the sudden and dramatic fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, one day you find the world has moved into another era and there's no going back. Ask anyone today, particularly the young adults, how they would react if it were proven that an NHI, a non-human intelligence, was present on Earth, an intelligence superior to our own, that proved that we are not, after all, at the top of the food chain. There would be a mix of emotions, fear and excitement being two main reactions, but I predict that one thing you would encounter amongst most people is acceptance. People are ready to accept this reality now. There's still a long way to go. We are not yet at the point where this reality is taken for granted. We're not yet at the point at which we have chat shows on TV with titles like Reptilians, All Bad or Sometimes Misunderstood, but we've already come a long way thanks largely to the ability to share information online. For now, there are plenty of earnest and dedicated people who are willing to share what they know and commit themselves to the task of finding out what the hell is going on and what it all means. Here is a short list of films, books and podcasts that I think you will find intriguing and inspiring. First, the two latest films by James Fox, The Phenomenon and Moment of Contact, a compelling documentary about the Varginha case, known as the Roswell of Brazil. I also recommend a Ron James film released in April 2023 called The Accidental Truth, UFO Revelations. This film includes interviews with Dr. Michio Kaku, Dr. Gary Nolan, Ralph Blumenthal, Nick Pope, Colonel John Alexander, Lou Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, Richard Dolan and many more. By the way, if you find it difficult to remember who everyone is, I have compiled a list of researchers, authors and broadcasters and put it on the ufologyweb.com site. Go to ufologyweb.com/UFO-and-UAP-researchers or use the link below this video. The list is a work in progress, so more names and bios will be added on an ongoing basis. For podcasts, I would like to recommend Weaponized, presented by Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, Need to Know, presented by Ross Coulthart and Bryce Zabel, The Point of Convergence, presented by Exo Academian Darren King, and Andy McGrillen's That UFO podcast. The That UFO podcast includes an interview with Colin Saunders, an Englishman who had a vivid close encounter with a black triangle UFO in 1999. He describes the event in great detail, and he has written a book about black triangle sightings in the UK. These are just a few things to read and listen to in my personal opinion. You may think differently. It all depends on what your main focus of interest is and which presenters resonate with you. There are of course many others I listen to, including Whitley Strieber and his many guests. On TV, another series about the Skinwalker Ranch is being broadcasted as I write, with all the fresh revelations that it contains. Finally, I would like to end this video by mentioning that some have speculated that the increase in the number of sightings is not an indication of there being more UFOs about, but that we are waking up to what has been there all along. It is thought by some that just as we find more evidence as our technology evolves, as our consciousness expands, we start to see and experience things that have always been there. Now that we are stirring and waking up from our long slumber, the beings that we share these dimensions with are having to contend with the fact that we have now become aware of their presence. For us, waking up to find that we are in a multi-dimensional universe teeming with life at various stages of evolution, much of it far in advance of our own, is a shock that will take time to process. If cyberspace gave us a crude concept of connection to all on our planet via the internet, then interdimensional and interstellar visitors are awakening us to the reality that we are connected to them and everything else via sophisticated and subtle universal networks. So for now, keep watching the skies and the oceans and everywhere else.